So, very warm welcome to everyone who is here, whether you are joining us live or viewing us on the replay after the event. This is Fiona Morris from the Divine Business Circle, and I'm here today with my gorgeous friend Pollyana Xavier Lever, or I should say Pollyana Caldas.
Yes.
Oh, so like not wanting to mess up your name, but anyway, Pollyana Caldas Xavier Lever has a beautiful name and is joining us from, what is the name of where you live? Clovenford?
Yes.
Clovenford, yes. I was going to say Galashiels, but I knew it's just outside, isn't it? Yeah. You're also a fellow Scottish Borders inhabitant like myself, even though I'm coming to you from Malaysia, Penang, Malaysia at the moment. And so we're here to welcome Polly and also everyone who's joining us to the Divine Business Journey series. This is a guest interview series where we meet creatives, mystics, and holistic business owners, learning from their experience, learning tips, hearing about their gifts, challenges, and breakthroughs on their own divine business journeys, which I'm sure we all relate to as we are all on our own individual journeys ourselves. So this is episode 5. And we are speaking to Pollyana, who is from her business Woman Rewilding, and she is an eco self-empowerment mentor, which is very intriguing, and I can't wait to hear more about that, because I know that's something that's kind of evolved for you recently. So yes, so join us, tune in, and we will also be enjoying a beautiful meditation later on after we've had a chance to have a chat with Polly, with a guided meditation opening the gateway of our senses, which is going to help us to feel embodied, present, and tuned into our authentic self. So that will be coming later. So hello, Polly.
Hello, beautiful.
So nice to see you.
Yes.
So we have been connected in many ways, both online and offline. I think we first met through the tribal belly dancing sisterhood, which meets up on Sundays in Traquair in the Scottish Borders. So that's a really nourishing and connecting thing that we've been meeting since, well, for me, it was since 2019, early 2020, which is only a couple of years ago, actually, although it feels, is that right? Maybe
it was before a lockdown. Yeah, it was before.
Yeah, it was before the lockdown, just before the lockdown. But it feels like we've been on lots of different journeys together. Later on in the lockdown, we were on an online kind of WhatsApp group journey, moving through the elements and exploring abundance together. And so that went quite deep, and we were connecting daily, really, for a period of months. It felt like about 6 months. I think that was about right, wasn't it? And so so I feel like, we're really sisters, and we both share this very far flung across the globe, both ended up in Scotland, even though you come from Brazil originally, and I'm half Indonesian. That's where I was born. And so I'd love to hear more about your divine business journey. Let's start all the way back in Brazil, because I wonder, how was it that you ended up in Scotland after, with all your family and so on in Brazil? How long have you been over there, and how did that all happen?
Oh, wow. I've been living here for 12 years now. So it's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
And, I find it very interesting you asking me about the business, how this all happened. And because this week I was hanging my wash, and then just came into my mind how when I was studying in Brazil, I studied tourism and hospitality for university. And I remember in my fourth year, there were 5 years studying, but in my fourth year, I wrote a letter to my dad and saying to him that I liked what I was studying, but it didn't feel like it was what I wanted to do. I really wanted to do things that helped people. I was about 19 when I wrote this letter, and just in my mind was psychology would be the way, but no, it's not. It's not psychology. So, after I finished university, I went to travel in New Zealand for 2 years, and there I met Ali, my husband.
Yes.
So after New Zealand, he left before me, and then we met again in India. And then I came to Scotland, met his whole family. He came to Brazil, and then he met my family. And then in Brazil, I got pregnant. So that brought me here to Scotland. But in New Zealand is when I started practicing yoga. And I really started finding myself. New Zealand was the first place where I really started to tune in into my authentic self and into who I am. I was quite authentic in my teen years, like the crazy one and, the black sheep, very much in myself. But what happened many times in my life is that whenever I had a boyfriend or someone, especially because in Brazil it's quite macho, that idea man is there, really patriarchal in that way. So whenever I was with someone, I felt that I needed to put myself down and really fit in and, make that person feel like they were the most important person in the universe. So I would lose my identity very quickly in my relationships. And all my relationships in Brazil were really toxic, and totally losing myself. So in New Zealand, it was just like, wow, I'm here practicing yoga, going to a studio twice a day. And so it was just really powerful in that way of self-discovery. And then I got pregnant and I lost myself again in motherhood completely, Took many years until I realized that I had forgotten who I was as Polly. I was teaching yoga, doing my thing, but completely forgotten. I was the mom, I was the wife, I was the friend, but me, I had lost it again. And throughout my life, I had this experience. I lose myself and then I have to find myself again. And it gets quicker. It doesn't take many years anymore, Thank goodness. But, and, all my ventures, all the spiritual things I do, they all bring myself back a little bit closer and quicker to who I am. So I did my yoga teacher training. I started doing my shamanic practices. That what happens, one of those moments where that I was lost, I started looking back into the things I wanted to do when I was a young, woman, when I was in 18, 19, 20s, and shamanism was really present. And I was cleaning the house a few weeks ago, and I found this picture that I must have bought in Brazil about this age, and is a native Indian, and this beautiful landscape around him, this beautiful nature. And I was like, that's beautiful, So in this process of remembering who I am, all what I do in my spiritual practices just helped me to get really closer to my essence. Yeah. Does it answer what? I just feel like I went in this journey.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it really well describes those kind of cyclical journeys that we all have our own relationship with, kind of coming closer to who we are, and then life coming, relationships, children, changes in our life, moving to new countries. All of these sort of big changes can just take us away, I guess, from the trajectory that we might once have been on, or kind of unexpected twists and turns. And yet somehow I feel that they can be, even though unexpected, and maybe throw us on this unexpected tangent, in a way, like kind of lead us back to who we truly are, perhaps in a deeper way, in an unexpected way. And I think divine does work in mysterious ways, doesn't it? But I also love the way you describe that it's this kind of constant journey, but that it's feeling easier, as time goes on. So that's really beautiful to hear. What I love asking people about is particularly how they've transformed challenges, because I feel, for you to be, and I know that you've got this new program that's coming out very soon called Empowered, and of course to be able to present an offering like that, you will have had to gone through your own journeys of disempowerment and breaking through. So, and I'm sure you've got various times in your life, as you say, there's been various cycles. I'd love to hear, whatever feels most present for you to share at this time, because I'm sure, we can all relate. I certainly can relate to one of the stories in particular, the macho culture in Central Americas, which is where I have been, certainly South and Central America, that very strong masculine culture. I traveled in that area with my ex-boyfriend for a period of about 9 months, and I've traveled a lot independently over the world. So just interesting that connection and what you bring up of that kind of, sometimes when we get into partnerships, that there can be this sort of feeling of codependent, particularly where there's cultures where it's kind of expected for men in certainly in South and Central America. I've certainly witnessed that. It's one of the few, well, I say not few, but one of the many places in the world where actually I don't feel that confident to travel alone, because you can get pestered. So that's just something I relate to. I don't necessarily, want you to elaborate more on that. It's just something that I could really relate to. And that I'm sure, whether you're partnered with a man or a woman, that can be something that we need to break through in business sometimes, and where we give our power away to a partner, and we don't have strong boundaries because there's maybe an element of people, but I'm speaking for myself, and I can only imagine that you've got your own version of the story. Is there anything that you want to speak to on that? Because I feel that's a challenge that can plague many of us at different times in our own trajectory, whether you're in business or in your own life. Love to hear your take on things. Your question is, how do I face those challenges that defy my own empowerment? Yes. So what kind of instances do come to mind where you have broken through or had to move through it, whether it was long or short?
I think this is I don't know if I ever end, but it's a constant challenge, right? So challenges for me when I'm in a strong place within myself, and I have the capacity to move through it, I try to look for the lesson within it, right? Because that's my belief. I believe that things happen for me, not to me. So how, and this is something that before I would be like, oh, the world is all against me. I remember phoning my brother and it was like, my boyfriend cheated me, and crying and la da 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 da. Why? The light is like, well, because you let it be in this way, So he totally put me in the place like, what is your part in this? It's not happening just because you're not the victim. So trying to find what is my lesson, what is my part in this, and what are the tools that I have that can help me to go through it. And I think that's really important, is something that in self-empowerment I talk about, is that we need to have a support system, and we need connection with people that love us and understand us and want us to grow, like our tribal belly dance here. They're a beautiful group of women that I know if I'm struggling and if I need to reach out, they will support me and they will help me, because sometimes we do need that. Do need that connection with others to go through the shit that happens. Life is tough, and I remember when we were in the group together online, there was something I was asking for: empowerment. I want to feel like empowered women, and then something happened. I don't remember exactly what it was, but just clicked to me as like, I'm asking to be empowered. This is not going to come into a beautiful wrap, golden with beautiful flowers and lace. This empowerment is not going to come with that. I will have to be able to feel it. I will have to face something that make me feel disempowered, and then that will allow me to step into my power. So if everything's going okay and there's no challenge, well, it's very easy to feel empowered in that way. Like, will you feel empowered because you haven't faced something that will actually call you to stand in your ground and feel, in your body, and here I am and I have the power to face this. Yeah. Does it make sense?
Absolutely.
So
yes.
That was the realization that I had. I don't know if you remember this, but was when we were in that online everyday group. Yeah.
Well, as you're mentioning that, I'm remembering that beautiful is it an asana or some sort of practice, the Kali goddess kind of practice, that, or the movement of her cutting the sword and looking really fierce, and you showed us all how to do that. And I know you practice yoga and do a lot of embodiment work. I know that's something that's going to be part of your upcoming program. And I guess with your roots in yoga, the importance of the physical body and posture is really important. I'd love to hear just a little sharing on how you weave that in. I know this is a brand new offering that you're creating, but you have offered so many beautiful experiences. For example, the Kali, it was a kind of 3-hour workshop or 2 or 3 hour workshop that I joined in on afterwards. And you've also done other kind of goddess themed workshops, which have been beautiful. You've also got the Women Rewilding Moon Circle and all sorts of beautiful offerings. But with this new offering, I'd love to hear a little bit more about how specifically around the idea of embodiment, because I'm sure the yoga practice is kind of the many years of offering the creative, different imaginative presentations that you have, how you're going to be weaving that into this upcoming project.
So first, about embodiment, I would like to speak a little bit about it, because for a long time in the beginning of my yoga practice, and a lot of yoga practitioners and a lot of spiritual things going on out there, I've been practicing yoga for 15 years or so. So there was very much that idea that there is something that we need to reach out and is outside of our body, that's divine, that is beautiful, that is out there, that we need to let go of this body to find out what that is. And, like everything, we change, we transform, we grow, and new doors open. And I became very aware that for me, now that's me, a mom, someone that works, that has family, that has everything, that to try and find something that is really enlightening and precious, that is out there, is not viable. So I need to find that beauty and that divine in the here and now, and with this body and with this earth that we all live on. So my practices really started changing, and with the goddesses, very related to tantric practices, where we acknowledge everything as the goddess, this divine energy. So how can we access that divine energy with our bodies, with, you're mentioning the Kali breath that we do, and then we cut through the sword. So really inviting all this power that is available to us through movement, through breath, through. So with the Eco Self-Empowerment, we're going to be doing things. We're going to have 2 yoga sessions a week. One is a self-care one, because we all need self-care, self-love. So super gentle, just stretching, just really opening up the body and doing self-massage also. But then on the one day will be a more empowering form of yoga that's really calling in our inner strength and our inner power through movement and through I'm quite spontaneous with how I teach, because I do feel that I have a lot of knowledge with different yoga technologies, shall we say, that I'm able to, if I wanted to create something focusing on one thing, be it fearlessness or inner soul beauty coming out, that we can do that within the practice with intention, attention, and the body, and really focusing on what we want to create and generate through movement. So that's how yoga works for me nowadays. It probably will evolve, but at this moment in time, that's how it is. Yeah. Does it answer your question, Phoebe?
Absolutely. Yes. I know you're a very intuitive person, and I think that is the way, we never know who's going to show up for our offerings, whether it's a one-to-one or a group or so on. And I think, when I reflect on the term divine business, intuition for me just feels so important. And I love that your attitude of kind of just really feeling into what is needed in that moment. I'm sure you've got an idea of what you're going to be offering, but it will very much depend on the energies and the dynamics of the group who will manifest when the time comes. So that's really exciting. So you use the word presence when you were describing the meditation that you wanted to offer to our circle and those of us who are tuning into this journey. And it was really interesting to hear you use that word, because it is actually my word of the year.
Okay.
And I've been reflecting quite deeply on the word itself. And for some months of the year, I'd actually completely forgotten. That was how lack of presence I had been, or how that intention, when you lose that presence and that focus, it can just go. And I think, we can apply that metaphor in terms of our journeys in life, the focus of our dreams and our goals. And if we don't keep bringing ourselves back and actually just holding and being present for them, they slip away. We forget them, or they drift, they go off on a shelf and we don't even know. And so I love that you use that word, because it also helped to bring me back to my word of the year. Is how ironic is that that's my focus for the year, and I had let it completely drift. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it was. So yes, share with us a little bit about what presence means to you, and just let us fill us in on your take on things.
Okay, so first, there's so much when you're speaking that I want to talk about. The thing is that the world is set up in such a way that is constantly calling our attention to here, to there, to there, to there, to there, to there, to there, everywhere but ourselves. And it's you can get so easily distracted, right? You go on your Facebook to do a post for your business, and then when you realize, like, oh, here I am doing something else that I wasn't planning on. So we need to understand that and remember that, so as to be aware that we must have a daily practice that call ourselves back to ourselves. If you understand, okay, this world is set up to really get me, to be focused, because so many things want your attention. Your attention is money for them. right? If you go on YouTube and you keep on watching, they're profiting from your attention. So so knowing that, and then having that responsibility in a way that I need to be calling myself to myself every day. What is that I'm going to do? And, even I also do forget. And I think a problem is also that when we are not feeling well and things go a bit sideways, and then we then start all our practices, and then we meditate, we do the yoga, we eat well, and then we start getting better, and then we're feeling good, and we forget all the things that we have done that makes us feel good. So we stop doing them, and then we fall back, and then suddenly it's like, trying to catch the breath again. It's like, oh, I need to start my yoga again and eat again and stop drinking. So that's something that we must be conscious, and then think, what is the one thing that I can do that will just help me to become more present today? Maybe, like I have this thing right now, self-care. I need to do one thing, small or big, every day, that is self-care, and that helps me to bring myself to myself. And presence for me is being conscious of this moment, of my body, of my surroundings. That's why we're going to do when we call our senses, some practices of yoga, some spiritual practices, we need to let go of the senses because they mess up with us. Like they take us away from this something that we need to look for. While some tantric practices, they are like awaken the senses. What can you hear? What can you taste? What can you see? What is the world offering to you right now? How are you taking that in? So really that can bring us into a deep sense of presence with ourselves and our surroundings, and being more awake to what life has to offer. And sometimes that's hard, but that's life. But we know that we go like that. Life is not like progress or something like this. So living in this state of awakening in a way, just being present with what it is. Yeah.
So, and also I feel like being kind when we lose the presence, having that level of self-compassion, and also knowing that, you mentioned the daily practice, every day, every morning, we've got a new daily cycle where we can renew again. And I know both of us have a strong connection with the moon. We can recommit or review when we get to the new moon and reset our intention, recall our attention to what our focus was on, or even, I think it's lovely when we have a kind of practice, or even just it doesn't even need to be a practice. The fact that you notice that it's a new moon. For me, it's the new moon. For others, it could be a full moon, or both. Or all 4 phases, or indeed every 8, depending on how everyone has their own relationship to it. But there's all of these cosmic reminders if we can be intentional about it. But like I say, I'd lost my presence for it felt like, it's not that, I think within that I had moments of presence, but I wasn't working with it as deeply as I felt I wanted to. And then suddenly I was like, that actually it was kind of seeing it in your text. I'm like, that word's familiar. I actually chose that as my word of the year, and I've kind of just let it go. So it's lovely to get an opportunity to renew that.
I think what you're saying is really good as self-compassion. I talk about that in Eco Self-Empowerment. One of the pillar, one of the columns, one of the things within it is self-care. And within that, we talk about self-compassion, it's so important, because what are you going to gain by self-flagellating? Is this the word to use? Like to be like, oh, yes, I'm a horrible person. Like I forgot my word, presence, and yes, that creates more. It's just has no value really, apart from putting yourself down. So it's like, oh, I remember now. Just trusting that what you went through is what you had to, and maybe this not being present, you realize that that's not what you want. What you want is something different from what those months were. So how can you now engage? Still, we have a few months ahead. The year is still, here. How can you then now recreate that commitment and step more deeply into that present, and rather sometimes to try to make too many things. How about maybe I'll step outside because you're in a nice and warm country. You can step outside, feel deep breaths, feel the breeze, smell the flower, whatever, or just that moment where you're walking and you see a beautiful flower and you take that deep breath in and you smell it. And that's a moment of presence, because it's really difficult to cultivate presence throughout the day because just how we humans are. So just small, beautiful things that can be done.
I love that. Yeah, just simple connection with nature is sometimes all we need to bring ourselves back to ourselves. So Polly, I'd really love to invite you at this point to share the beautiful offering that you had proposed. Normally at this point, I would invite people to kind of check in and ask some questions, but I don't think we have anyone here just now or today. But I have plenty of questions I would like to ask you, but I don't want to deprive anyone of the beautiful meditation that you had planned for us. So I'm going to pass over to you and just ask you to share that with us whenever you're ready.
This will be your coming to presence to yourself, first practice now that you're recommitting.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So wherever you are, just make sure that you're sitting comfortably, and that can be on a chair, on the floor, wherever. And if it's okay to close the eyes, do close your eyes or have a soft gaze on something in front of you. And I first invite you to take a few nice breaths into the nose and maybe out through the mouth. And as you inhale, find that you fill up your lungs, your torso, and your spine lengthen a little bit. And as you exhale, keep the spine nice and long and just let the body relax. And do a few conscious breaths in this way. Inhaling. Noticing how the breath expands within the body, and exhale, releasing, letting go, surrendering what's no longer needed. Inhaling fresh air, new life, new energy, and exhaling, letting go of toxins, of negative emotions, tension, stress. Just really inviting that breath to circulate, to cleanse and purify as you inhale, and to release and let go as you exhale. Just a few more breaths. And now bring awareness to the sounds far away from you. Notice what you can hear. Maybe birds singing, maybe cars passing by, or people talking. Let your sense of hearing be really awake. See how far your awareness can go. Be present with all sounds. Awaken. And then it slowly starts to draw your awareness closer to you. And notice the sounds nearby. You might be able to hear your own breath. Maybe even your heartbeat. Just notice. And be present with it. Now bring awareness to your skin. Feel your clothes touching your skin. Notice how you're sitting, the places where you feel pressure. Maybe from the chair, maybe you're sitting on the floor, your legs crossed. Just notice those points of contact in between you and what's giving you support. You might feel a cool air or warm air. What are the sensations in your body? Just let yourself notice. And then notice what you can smell. Maybe you can smell the summer rain, food cooking, freshly brewed coffee, flowers, essential oils, whatever is present for you right now. And just notice, no need to judge, just is what it is. And then notice what you can taste in your mouth. Maybe you can even move your tongue around your mouth, really noticing. And then what you can see behind your closed eyelids. Shapes and colors, or maybe just darkness. Be present with it. And now see if you can call in all the senses to be awake. Notice the ones that are easier to engage with, the ones that are a bit more dormant. But let your body receive what the environment, all the information that is being sent to you, being really present with your surroundings, using the gateways of the senses to awaken. Finding your own place within your environment, not separate from it, but as part of it. Feel where you are seated in the room where you are. your place in this space, you as part of it. Being completely awake to your senses also helps you to awaken to your own feelings and emotions, and to be aware of what's happening within you. And from that place of awareness, finding your own way of being, your own way of expressing yourself, your own way of presenting yourself into this world. What is your part within it? And then I invite you to take a few breaths, deeper breaths, with more awareness and a little bit stronger than what you've been breathing right now. Just really present with that breath, expanding, contracting, inhaling, exhaling. And then bring your hands together and rub them just to create some warmth. Cup your eyes and just bathe in darkness for a moment. Notice what you can see, hear, taste, smell, feel. And then gently start blinking. Bring the fingers apart, coming back to the light of the room.
Thank you, Polly. That was gorgeous.
Welcome.
I really do feel awake. That's yeah, it's a lovely practice. It's one that I have done in different forms in different places in the past, but I haven't done it for a really long time, and it's lovely to be reminded and to receive it through your unique delivery. And as I'm saying that, I'm kind of getting this visual of this kind of cycle that you were describing earlier, of kind of, moving away from something and then coming back to it. And, so to kind of receive this practice again in a new way, in a refreshed way, it just feels beautiful. And yeah, it definitely helps to connect me with my word of the year, which I will renew my intention to be to hold it more focused within my mind's eye and within my heart, at least for the rest of this year, or if not forever, because if we can only do that one thing of just maintaining our presence in every moment, while also having compassion for those times that we inevitably release the attention, then that's an amazing thing.
Yeah. So, when we were talking and your thing with your divine business, and I think being able to be so present with us in this way really help us to align ourselves with our offerings and our business, and what is that I'm doing that is really making my whole body sing and vibrate and making me feel yes, full body yes. And sometimes whatever your business is an offering, or you work for someone and is there contraction, it really helps us to be aware, is this in alignment with me? Is what this person asking for me to do, does it make me feel expanded? Does it make my body contract? So it's a really good tool, having that connection to be able to align ourselves with what we're doing in our lives, and that obviously will include what we do for our business.
Yeah, yes, and to really trust that sensation, that kind of message, I suppose, that comes up, and actually follow up on it, because like you mentioned before, when you ask for empowerment, there's this realization that actually I have to do the hard work to become that. And in the same way, when you're asking, is this making me expand or contract? And if the answer is contract, then sometimes there's a real tough decision to be made, or somebody to be let down, or a boundary to uphold, or something like that, which isn't easy. And yet there is something divine about it, because it's helping us to step into our power, and it's all part of the journey. I mean, a divine business is not smooth sailing all the way. I think sometimes we hear the word divine and we think it's going to be bliss and beautiful clients and money flowing in, but the divine journey is ups and downs. It's the hero's journey, the heroine's journey. There's breakthroughs, there's challenges, there's despair, there's all the full range of feelings, shadow and light. We need to embrace it all. I had a question for you, which I was kind of saving because I wanted to ask you earlier, but I really wanted to just kind of get into the meditation, and I feel so good for it. But you mentioned, I actually wrote it down, if you ask yourself every day, what is the one thing I need to do today to feel more present? That's a really great thing to remember to do every day. And I don't know about you, but as you say, that we have social media, we've got the internet, there's all this information just coming at you, and with all our best intentions, we get given these wonderful practices, to do, and then new ones come in. And so, how do you, when you said how important is the daily practice, I wanted to ask, what does your daily practice look like for you? And how did you come to that, and does it change? I'm really curious to hear.
It does change. At the moment, my commitment to myself is, before I get off my bed, to do a gratitude practice, to really bring myself into alignment, heart coherence, really get my energy and in myself in a good place. So just sit up on my bed and thank you for my home, thank you for my husband, thank you for my sons, and for all what I have, and the money and the lessons that I give. And I also call upon my allies, my ancestors, my guides to be with me and to help me to move through the day with grace. Now, I'm a person, because of my chart I discovered a few years ago, my astrological chart, that my Mars is in Pisces, and there's a lot other things that what tells me is that I'm a person that I can give a lot of energy. I have Aries ascendant and moon, so I have that fire, but I cannot sustain it for a long period of time. So I do need to have breaks. And sometimes that will be me getting outside and just playing an instrument. Didgeridoo was my latest, because I'm practicing it. So I have small breaks in between things. So, if I stay working the computer for an hour and a half, 2, that's my limit. I need a break. And if that's just going outside and lying down for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or lying on the show, I need those. I understand now I need those. And when I don't do it, I feel really tired and overworked. So, but gratitude practice is really good for me at the moment. And in the evening, so I don't get lost during the day, the following day, I write down in my diary the things that I need to do. So I don't go like, I can easily get distracted. So I have a focus. Okay, so those are the things that I need to do. And then I have that bit of a structure that allows me to have freedom. But any yoga, I'm cooking and I'm stretching at the same time. So just really trying, my way of doing things is trying to put little things in. I don't have the time every day to go for an hour and a half, 2-hour yoga practice, right? Because I have kids, I need to get up and get them sorted. I need to clean the house. I have a business. So I'm cooking, and then I go and do a few spinal waves, a downward facing dog, stretch here and there, and then I do something else. So I need to weave throughout my day things that will help me to come back because otherwise I get really tired and sore. So my body's telling me, my head is aching, my body's sore. So that idea of, okay, I need to get up and move now, I'm at my limit of sitting down and looking at the screen, or the kids are driving me crazy, I'm gonna go for a walk and goodbye, I'm gone, you know. So those are the things that I do. There are various things.
Yes, yeah, love that. Yeah, I resonate with all of that. Like you, I also need to do. At one point I had a little timer that would go off every hour, and I would just take 5 minutes of something, movement, or I'd sometimes like just have a quick look on YouTube for a little 5-minute practice, or just sit and meditate and listen to some music, or just do some jumping around, or just something like that, just to kind of shift things up. And I also have, well, as you know, I've got my sun is in Pisces, so I also have that kind of daydreamy, like to drift and kind of like feed my creativity and imagination, inspiration. But it's a double-edged sword, of course, because distraction and getting lost in things is a very real thing. And I've got Virgo rising as well, so that's a double mutable thing. So I love the idea of a daily practice. I've got a moon in Taurus, which is fixed, which is earth, so it's the kind of most stable and most grounded. So thank goodness for my moon in Taurus, which gives me a kind of a grounding and kind of stability. It keeps me anchored, because a lot of my other aspects of my personality does, but we need to embrace all of them, don't we? And yeah, what I love about the moon, like going back to the moon, it's like we can come back and reset. And so I often start these kind of monthly practices, but I find myself often drifting away. But compassion.
Yeah, and so you mentioned there, dancing has been quite big for me recently also. Especially now in the summer, I put a speaker outside, and that's me dancing for, because then I can really get into it. And I've been doing more dancing than actually like yoga practice, because it really helps me to get into the body, all the little corners that are needing a little, so that feels really good. And I do also my menstrual cycle. I've been really trying to learn from it and keep up, because things that I can do when I'm ovulating, I'm not going to be doing that when I'm menstruating, so having that beautiful fluidity and flexibility, and really finding those moments is, I think, the more moments we can have of little more presence, moments that are more important than, okay, I'm going to sit for 1 hour here and I'm going to meditate, and that doesn't work for me. For me, it's like moments here and there of looking outside, and I can see the trees are dancing with the wind, and some of the leaves are start to fall, and it's just like beautiful, and that for me is present with it.
Yes, and you've got a Mars in Pisces, so like for your energy to be sustained, you need that. You really need that. Other people might need that kind of real consistent, like, I'll reward myself when I've kind of got a big block done, and that's fine too. We all have our own way. It's good to, and we cycle. Sometimes we have that kind of, real burst through, like a real kind of focus endurance project, and then we can flop out afterwards. So again, like that image of the spiral of the cycle of kind of that surge of energy and then withdrawing again, however small or big these cycles need to be for us to kind of be wherever we need to be. So we're coming to very close to the end of our hour together, Polly, and I'd really love to ask you to share with us a bit more about your program, like when does it start, how can people find out more about it, and also how can people connect with you? Where's the best place to find you online? Please let us know.
So my program starts on the 26th of September. And will be 7 weeks. And this is my beta group. So it's the first one that I'm doing, focusing on eco self-empowerment. And this eco self-empowerment was a download of ideas that I took, put all together, and really a lot of the things we spoke about today will be in the program. And all the things that I've been through throughout my life, being disempowered, finding empowerment, losing myself, finding myself, they all brought me here. And so, you know, that I have my lessons that I've learned from it. Like I say, I'll always look for the lesson within the struggle. So there'll be exercise and integration work within the program that each week we'll be speaking about one topic. So that is starting. So it's going to last for 2 months pretty much. And the group is already open. People can come in already and start connecting, but official Monday. And the best way to find me, I think at the moment, is Instagram, Woman Rewilding, Pollyana, especially for this work. I do have my Yoga Frog UK, but that's more yoga focused. Yeah, I think that would be the best.
Okay.
Right. Facebook,
Perfect.
but that one would be the best channel, really. Yeah.
On Facebook, are you Women Rewilding? Women Rewilding is an online group, isn't it?
I have
or there's a page as well.
I have a Facebook group, then called Women Rewilding also. But then on Instagram, I have all the links for all the other things that I'm doing. Website, primalrising.com. So yeah, I'm too creative, I think. No, there's no such a, but I have many things that I love doing. So they're all in there. You can find them all on Instagram. Yeah.
I totally relate to that, and just affirm to you that, you know, some of us are designed to be multi-passionate, and some of us are super focused and have that kind of set in stone kind of ideal client and signature offering. And some of that, like I sometimes feel like I'm too creative as well, but it's nice to hear you remind yourself and me that there's no such thing, you know. It's just who we are, at least in this moment. So
It's really embracing ourselves. I think that's a big thing with empowerment, knowing who we are, embracing ourselves, who we are in this moment with what we
and release some of that judgment, because I think it's not really, that doesn't come from our true self, does it? That kind of, you know, we pick up these stories and messages from culture, from our families, from our education, of like, what is the thing, you know. And kind of going back to your point about your authenticity, we didn't go into it in as much depth as maybe we had time for, but yeah, I think it kind of very nicely just feeds back into that. Just, you know, being our authentic self can look quite messy and feel messy, because, you know, our perception is kind of muddied by the things that we've learned, you know, our ancestral stories, our family stories that aren't necessarily our true self. And so I think it's good just to remember that, and to tune back in and remind yourself it's okay. We are enough wherever we are in that moment. Thank you so much for being my guest, Polly. I loved our conversation, and I know that whoever is meant to connect with this call at whatever space and time they find it, it was meant to be for them too. So thank you so much. Mwah. Sending you lots of love, and to everybody who has tuned in, thank you so much, and see you in the Divine Business Circle. Bye-bye.
Bye.